Test. I'll push a little bit. Test. Woo. Test. I'm just going to sing a little bit, and you can adjust. Is that okay? I bet you never heard old Marshall Dillon say, Miss Kitty, have you ever thought of running away? Settling down, would you marry me? If I asked you twice to beg your pretty please, she'd have said yes in the New York Minute. They never tied the knot. His heart wasn't in it. He just stole a kiss as he rode away. He never hung his hat up at Kitty's place. I should have been a cowboy. I should have learned to rope and ride, wearing my six-shooter, riding my pony on a cattle drive, stealing the young girls' hearts, just like Gene and Roy, and singing those campfire songs. Oh, I should have been a cowboy. Rolling down backwoods, Tennessee byways, one arm on the wheel, holding my lover with the other, a sweet, soft southern thrill. Worked hard all week, got a little jingle on a Tennessee Saturday night. Couldn't feel better, I'm together with my Dixieland life. All right.
I don't have a longer one.
That's all right. I think this is okay. That's all right. I didn't feel. I just don't think of it as it's short and it's okay. It just.
Yeah, we don't use the quarter inches too much.
I've got 3 different ones, but again, all in the suitcase. So.
Yeah.
You know. Turn this off to save battery. Is this the one I'll be using for the keynote? Yep. Did I just leave it up on the podium?
please stand. Is this on?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Is it working? Thank you to Rana Agugulu of Santa Lucis Chorus for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance and the National Anthem. Welcome to the Technology Conference. This is our 20th Technology Conference, and thank you for your attendance. We have in the vendor hall a fairly large makerspace that you want to visit. Also see some of the vendors that are in there. That is put on the makerspace. It's put on by the Library Media Services and the K-12 STEM department. If you need professional development points for your time today here at the conference, you can go to the e-learning management system and you can sign up for the Technology Conference course and get professional development points for today's activities. In addition, to manage your day, we have the Technology Conference app. If you want interactive look at the Technology Conference app, you can find it at your favorite app store by searching for PBCS Conf. You can schedule sessions, join discussions, post your favorite social networks, interact with other participants, get alerts, door prizes, and news. In addition, on Twitter, you can follow us at PBCSDTechConf or hashtag PBCSDTechConf. So we hope to have a lively discussion on Twitter. We appreciate the support of our IT staff, and I'd like to introduce them. They're a very integral part of the success of the Technology Conference. Our CIO, Mr. Deepak Agarwal. Ms. Natasha Bell Hayden, Director of Project Management Office. Dawn Pumphrey, Department of Enterprise Application and Support. Mr. Chris Prasad was not able to make it today. He has the flu. We miss Chris. And Mr. David Wilhelm, Director of Infrastructure Support. This year, addition to our conference, we have the new partnership with the Learn Green Conference, who has brought green environmental expertise to our conference through business partnerships, breakout sessions, and increasing the recycling efforts. You'll find in recycled bins, and the program that you have was also printed on recycled paper this year. I would like to introduce the Chief of Performance and Accountability, Mr. Mark Howard.
Thank you, Gary. Good morning. It's an honor to be here to open the conference, especially the 20th Annual Technology Conference, and I'm so impressed by the people that will show up on Saturday. That's unique to Palm Beach County. I feel like we have the most dedicated and caring teachers in the United States of America, so give yourselves a hand. This is my 34th year in Palm Beach County Schools. There's no place that I would rather be. There's no place that I'd rather be on a Saturday morning than here with all of you. So to get us started, what I'd like to do is touch base. We typically do in our culture with our vision and our mission. And as you look at the vision of Palm Beach County Schools up there, you'll see that there are some words that are kind of outlined in red. But what encapsulates the district vision is to empower each child to reach his or her own potential. What I'd like for you to do, very briefly, with somebody sitting next to you is just discuss what conditions need to be present in the classroom for a child to reach their potential. Talk about that with the person next to you. What conditions have to be present in order for a child to reach their potential? Go ahead. I had a Mentimeter word cloud thing, but I didn't want to take that much time, so I'm just going old school. Morning. Okay. Thank you. So I don't, I had a whole thing that I was going to do. We were going to build a word cloud together and all of that this morning, but I just went low tech. So the conversations that you had with the person seated next to you, I'm sure were heartfelt. They were varied. There's a lot of probably correct answers to that. But what I want to tell you is that's the question that we should each be asking ourselves. Every day, in each classroom, or whatever your role is within the school system, you're working with kids, that's the question that you need to ask yourself. What are the conditions that need to be present for each student to reach their full potential? And for me, I don't know how that can happen unless you see and believe in the potential of each child. So there are a lot of other physical conditions that might be required, but for me, it starts with the belief system. It starts with each adult being able to see, being able to recognize, being able to believe in the potential of each child. So in Palm Beach County, we've gotten input from over 20,000 stakeholders across the community, because the question that we had to answer is that we've got this vision, we've got a mission, like most systems do, right? Our mission says that in order to empower each child to reach his or her fullest potential, we have to create a world-class education system with excellence and equity. So how do we go about creating a world-class education system? It's pretty broad speak. So we have a plan to help us get there. And in this plan, we identified 4 key long-term outcomes, which we talk about on a regular basis. 75% of our students reading on grade level by 3rd grade. Right now, we're at 54. Right? That 75% of our students entering high school be high school ready, on grade level in reading and math, and have the habits of mind and the conditions for learning that will make them successful in high school and beyond. that we graduate 90% of our students on time, and that of those graduates, right, that those graduates be ready for post-secondary success. And we measure that because what we say is by the time that you graduate, we want you to have one accelerated outcome while you're still in high school. So those are pretty lofty goals, but that's our North Star. And we identified with our community that the way that we would get there is by investing our efforts and our energies across these four big areas: effective and relevant instruction, positive and supportive school climate. You can go back one, please. Back. Yep. A positive and supportive school climate, develop our talent, and to develop and sustain a high-performance culture. That these aren't my things, these weren't the superintendent's things. This is what we heard from the community. Because our theory of a change is this, go ahead, John, that if we complete the initiatives that we've identified, some specific projects, right, that those will enable us to accomplish our objectives across those four identified areas to reach our long-term outcomes. So I just want to unpack that for you just a little bit. Next slide. So what does it mean to have relevant, effective and relevant instruction to meet the needs of all students? So we identified some key objectives in that area. And those objectives are these. And I want you to note the first one. It talks about ensuring a shared commitment and collective responsibility for the academic success of every child. Right? That in the community, in the school community, in the community at large, in the district office, right, with our vendor partners, with our parents, that we all share this collective responsibility for the academic success of every child. We see that in our culture and our society now. Kids slip through the cracks, right? And we have a lot of students that we identify as average, but in truth, there's no average child, right? So how do we knit our systems together, both with programs, belief systems, and academic programs to do that? And one of the ways that one of the objectives and one of the vehicles to do this, we propose is through some form of personalized learning, by meeting the needs of the child where the child is. Right? And that's kind of another big thing in our education today is around personalized learning. There's a lot of different definitions of that, right? And so we'll tackle that as we go. We'll tackle that as we go. Can you go to the next slide, John? So in the book, The End of Average, I don't know if any of you have read that, but the premise of the book is this author, Mr. Rose, started in the 1950s, right? The U.S. military had some of the most advanced technology in the history of mankind. We had better technology, better pilots, but we were getting worse results, right? And so they studied this problem. They studied over 4,000, well, first what we did as a country is first we blamed the pilots, right? Then we blamed the technology. Eventually we got around to blaming the flight instructors, and then we studied the problem, right? And what they found was that the cockpit of the fighter jets was designed for the average person, right? And so what the person that did this study has studied over 4,000 pilots and measured those pilots across 10 different dimensions. And what the study found was that there wasn't one person, not one, who was average on all 10 dimensions. And what he found was that these pilots physically had what they called a jagged profile, right? That nobody is average on everything, right? We have strengths, we have weaknesses, we have, many different dimensions about us as a person. And so I would ask us in education, right, what are those 10 dimensions of learning for students, and where does each of our students fall on each of those dimensions? You know, there's no average kid. So that's why this is critical, right? And this is not going to be easy, right? It seldom is. But what we've begun to do in the school district is lead with training. So technology isn't the answer here, right? But technology can facilitate, accelerate, enable, empower, and do a lot of amazing things. And so how do we leverage the technology, right, to meet the needs of the students? Technology alone cannot do that, right? But how does it enable, empower, accelerate, and enhance the learning of each child? And it's through events like this, right, that we begin to shift mindsets, but shifting mindsets isn't enough. We have to give people the tools, the training, and the support that they need to make the changes. When we look at our classrooms, not much changed in over 100 years. And that cockpit for each student looks about the same today as it did 100 years ago, maybe. But what we're starting to see is a shift, right? We're starting to see different pedagogical approaches in how we organize our classrooms, how we organize learning for students, right, to meet the needs of the students. Now, this is a large demand that falls largely on the teacher, right? And the teachers need training. Our teachers need training. They need events like this. It needs to be sustained. It needs to be specific. Next slide. And so in Palm Beach, we identified these 4 pillars of effective instruction. And Diana Fetterman, my amazing colleague, led this work, but we came up with these 4 pillars. That the learning in Palm Beach County, our pillars of effective instruction, is it needs to be based on the standards. It needs to be personalized. We need to have high expectations for every student, and then it uses the word engaged. Okay? And we use the word engaged a lot with technology, but what we're talking about is engaged in their own learning, right? If we give new technology, that fascination will last for a while, right? And then another new technology will come out. So we're not talking about necessarily just engaged with technology. We're talking about engaged with learning and owning their own learning, right? So I believe that's what today is all about, right? It's a step toward. And you, brave souls, coming out here on this bitter cold Saturday morning, right here in Florida, while others were struggling with black ice and snow drifts and things like that, you know, we have to get up here and struggle in mid-50s weather on a Saturday morning, put a sweater on the pug, right? And brave out there in the cold. And so as I kind of end my time, I want to invite Keith Oswald up. Next slide, please. Before I go on, I mentioned I've been here for 34 years. So I started teaching when I was 23 years old, I believe in the fall of 1983 or something like that, 84. And when I got to Lake Worth High School, this guy was there, Gary Weidenhammer, right? We were both at Lake Worth High. And so, yeah, right? And so Gary and I are in this picture together because we've worked side by side nearly our entire careers, right? And so if you can pick us out up there, Gary and I are standing side by side. I'm right behind this guy, number 75, Carmona. And Gary's right behind this guy, number 76, Castillo, right? Still remember the kids' names, right? Because those were magical days. Best job I've ever had was being a classroom teacher and a coach, you know? So if you're in the classroom now, I would just say treasure those days. They're difficult. They're incredibly challenging, more so now today, but I had my time in the ring, right? And it's your turn now. But Gary and I served side by side for all these years. And Keith and I would like to recognize Gary's contributions not only to the school system, but to the technology conference itself, right? And we've watched the technology conference grow from, something that happened in the hallways and so forth, but Gary Evans started this, and so we stand on his shoulders. But each year, because of the commitment and the dedication and the contributions of our vendors and everybody else, every year the technology conference has hit a new level. And, it's largely under Gary's leadership. So what Keith and I would like to do at this time is present Gary with the game ball.
So hold on now, Gary, because, Dr. Avosa started this new, recognition with a game ball. So part of it, though, to get this, you got to actually be able to catch it. So we're going to see. All right, so here we go, Gary. Gary's been in this district. I'm sure that wasn't 64 I saw up there. I don't know if that was 84 or 64. Just kidding, Mark. But events like this can't happen without people with vision. Gary, for over 20 years, has been leading this work. And, we're sad to say that this is going to be his last technology conference. He's decided to spend more time at the beach on Saturdays and not come here at the school district. So we want to give Gary a big round of applause and thank him for his leadership, for all that you've done. Thank you. And just before I turn this back over to Gary, I want to thank you all as well for being out here. Palm Beach County is leading the way. The educators that we have are the innovators. So Mark talked briefly about the personalized learning. Yeah, there are many definitions out there. And the whole trailblazer, how many trailblazers are here today? All right, trailblazers, what you all are doing in your classrooms and what I've seen is just you are innovating. You're creating where we're going to go. You're creating the vision of how technology is going to be used. Our community supported a half-penny sales tax for us. All of you in the classroom are going to be getting some really cool stuff in the years to come. So how we use that, we're depending on people like our trailblazers to really create that vision of how that technology should be used. So thank you for being here today. Also, how many Google certified teachers? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Palm Beach County leading the way in the country with Google certified teachers. Over 600, is it? I'm going to need some tips because I just figured out how to color code my calendar. And but people say there's some other tricks that could really help me be a little bit more efficient. So I'll be reaching out to you. And again, I want to thank all of our partners, our vendors that are here today, the different departments that are here today. And again, those of you that are having breakouts later today, thank you for giving up your time. And also, I know we have a real treat later with a speaker that you're going to truly be inspired by if you ever heard him before, Kevin. So this time I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Gary.
Thank you, Mark and Keith. It has been a very enjoyable ride throughout the years. 1979-80 was my first school year here in Palm Beach County, and I've enjoyed all of them. And I'll say, like Mark, that time in the classroom, I taught chemistry and biology for many, many years, and I enjoyed that and worked with the athletic teams and so forth. So very, very enjoyable. And thank you, Mark and Keith. Thank you to everyone. I would be remiss in saying that I am not the only one today who is at their last technology conference as a part of the educational technology team, or IT. Denise Hensel is going to beat me out the door. She is retiring in the end of May, and so this will be her last technology conference as an official. Well, we'll probably have her come back and volunteer, but it was her and Joyce Parker, who used to be on the educational technology team and now manager of the service desk. She is retiring, and this will be her last technology conference as well. So give them a hand for all of the things that they have done. And if it weren't for the educational technology team and the work that they do, this would not be possible. In addition to the work done by the technology team and the IT department, we have sponsors that we want to recognize. So let's begin with the platinum sponsors. This technology conference, this is the 20th year, and it has been a self-supporting conference. And it provides scholarships, it provides a lot of benefits to the district, and it has not cost any money out of the general budget or capital budget for this technology conference. It's only because of the support of our vendors. So let's start with our, give them all a hand. And make sure that you get some time in the vendor hall and stop by and see them. But our platinum sponsors this year, Apple Incorporated, Audio Enhancement Incorporated, and please stand, representatives from Apple, from Audio Enhancement. Okay, Curriculum Associates, Discovery Education, Newzella, and SRG Technology. Our gold sponsors this year, Connection Public Sector Solutions. Anyone hear from them? Our silver sponsors, Dell, Edgenuity, and Reading Plus. A lot of them are over in the vendor hall, so stop by and give them a thanks for their sponsorship. Bronze sponsors, Curriculum Advantage, Classworks, iStation, and Cat's Computer. With some of the money that we get from the technology conference, we have been doing the Pat Oliphant Memorial Scholarship for many, many years. Pat Oliphant was a 30-year veteran teacher who taught math and computer science at John I. Leonard High School. The annual school district of Palm Beach County provides funds for these scholarships. I'd like to thank all the sponsors that make this possible each year. A special thanks to our judges who are principals and gave their time, and you can see from the screen who the principals were that helped in that selection. The winners, first place, Kaylee Marie Cunningham from Olympic Heights. Kaylee, you want to stand? Second place, Madison Lee Cuellar from A.W. Dreyfus. Third place, Evan I. Fellman from Spanish River. And our finalist, James Ralph King from Park Vista High School. I can say from sitting on the committee with the principals, what phenomenal work that these individuals have done. The Mickey Shimmer Student Design Contest was named after an exceptional teacher, Mickey Shimmer, graphic design teacher from South Tech Academy. He inspired students to obtain new levels of creativity, which is evidenced by his students with past submissions. Adobe Systems has generously provided prizes for this competition. And this year, third place winner, Anthony Charla from Seminole Ridge. And you can see the design for third place. And Anthony, you want to stand? Anthony's not with us. The second place winner this year is Alex Burns from South Tech. And you can see her design on the screen. Our first place winner, you can see the design on the screen, but you can also see it on your program, Andrea Cajas from South Tech. Now for some good news. This year, we are providing lunch So you have 2 pieces of Papa John's pizza. I would say that you're probably going to get more than 2 pieces today from the amount of pizza that we have ordered for today, and a bottle of water. So everybody should get well fed during that time. 11:50 to 12:50 will be lunchtime. And during that time, eat, interact with each other, visit the vendor hall, etc. And you know, sometimes there's great odds, and sometimes the odds aren't quite as great. Well, this year we have a fair number of door prizes. Your odds of winning a door prize are a little bit bigger today. So you make sure that you visit Door Prize Central in the courtyard. It's right across from the tech booth. Some of the bigger prizes will only be given away at the closing session. You have to be here to win. So if anybody decides to go home during the day, those that stay, your odds just increase. And we have some pretty good prizes that we're going to be giving away. I'd like to thank the committee members that have met throughout the year putting this technology conference together. It takes a lot of people to put a conference together like what we are providing for you today. So in addition to the steering committee, which you see there, we have a lot of volunteers that assist us. In addition to the volunteers, we'd like to thank the presenters, the co-presenters who share expertise. We also have volunteers that, and you'll see them in t-shirts with Blazing the Trail on it. And I'd like to then thank each one of you for getting up on a Saturday morning when the weather is gorgeous outside and you're spending time with us at the technology conference. So give yourself a hand for coming today. Let me also make a note. We have a lineup of featured speakers that would rival any international conference around the world. We have some really great talent here. And not only do we have some great talent here, we had extreme measures to get our talent here today. In the Northeast, I don't know if you've been watching the weather, but it's considerably different than it is here. And it affected flights. I was talking to one of our featured speakers. He came in at 3 o'clock this morning. Another one of our speakers came in, I don't know, what was it, 12, 1 o'clock, something like that. Another one of our speakers, he came in at 1 o'clock, and the closest he could get is Jacksonville, Florida. And I'd like to give a special thanks to David Atwell, Dr. David Atwell. He got in his car at 7 o'clock last night, drove up to Jacksonville, picked up our speaker, brought him back. He arrived at, I think, 10 to 6 this morning. And after flying and driving all night, and he's going to speak to you today. So special thanks to... We have extreme measures, and by the way, the one that came in this morning, that's the one that you're going to hear in just a few minutes. Not only did the flights get all messed up, but his luggage didn't get here either. So his luggage is going home, and he's going home later today, so he had to make some adjustments for today because there's everything that he anticipated being here is not here. So we had some extreme measures to get people here. This year, featured speakers include Lauren Hobbs, educational strategist for Dell. She works in the field of supporting institutions, creating learning environments, support digital transformation. And so, Lauren, you want to stand? Is Lauren in here, or is she preparing for her session? She might be preparing. Hall Davison. We all know Hall. He's been here several times. He's been here almost, I don't know, like half of our conferences. So we enjoy having Hall. He's a regular. He has worked from think tanks in Turkey to classrooms in Tennessee, also in Florida. Has collaborated throughout thought leaders include teachers, superintendents, and Department of Education. Another one. He has been here, I think, 18 of our 20, and his son is here this year, and his son was here last year, so they're counting 20 out of 20 because we have two Benots with us today. But Mark Beno from Apple Incorporated, he has been to nearly every conference with exception of a handful. Mark is part of Apple Education team working to transform school leaders to integrate technology to build learning. Mark, thank you for your support. Our closing keynote, he was one of the few that got in last night. He was one of the privileged few. Dean Sharesky is the community manager for Discovery Education Canada. His passion remains helping teachers explore the affordances of technology for learning. Please join us at 1:55 right here, and you're going to learn what's your unfair advantage. So all of you have an advantage. But you have to come here to learn what that advantage is. Our opening keynote is Mr. Kevin Honeycutt. He's been with us before. Kevin Honeycutt is a technology integrationist and a staff developer from Central Kansas. He spent 13 years teaching K-12 art and now travels the country and the world sharing ideas with educators. His website, kevinhoneycutt.org, is a valued treasure house of resources for educators. Kevin grew up in poverty, attended school in many cities across the United States. As he witnessed education around the country, he collected powerful experiences that still influence his conversations and his work with educators. He spent 13 years teaching art, K-12, in public school, and for 17 years spent summers leading creative adventure camps for all ages. In 1991, he received the Making It Happen Award, which is an internationally recognized award program for educators and leaders in the field of educational technology integration in K-12 schools. The program identifies and rewards educational technology leaders around the world for their commitment and innovation. In 2001, he became an Apple Distinguished Educator, and he continues to train students and teachers in the use of Apple's powerful learning tools. In his life, he's gone from being an at-risk kid doing stints in foster care to traveling the globe talking to audiences of educators, business people, and kids. With that, let's give a warm welcome to Kevin after traveling all night to be with you.
I'm going to put this up on the... Anyone old enough to remember Columbo? He's always looking at his pockets, you know. Where's my spectacles? I don't know what's going on. Okay, so I'm going to plug into this one here, and we'll see it pop up. Okay. Am I on? 3, 2, 1, and yay, there it is. Woo! Okay, so first of all, it's good to be here. It's good to finally be here. I'm wearing a lot of the same clothes as yesterday. But the shirt, I really needed the shirt. Plus it's hip. Look, it's a nice looking shirt. You know, I'm still a teacher, and everywhere I go, you know, I'm trying to teach the best I can. But I was just talking to my buddy Hall a minute ago, and we were kind of talking about getting older. Getting older. What is it about this organism? No, it was me and you. Dean, it's Dean. As we get older, are we still relevant? And I'm going to talk about that a little bit in this presentation, because I think life comes and it teaches you things. It asks you things. It pushes you if you continue to be alive. And I'm still alive. I'm on this side of the grass, yay. I'm going to just tell you a little story. I was driving down the road, and I was thinking, well, I'm an Upper Paleolithic hunter-gatherer still by software standards. We haven't had operating system upgrades for 35,000 years. So we're still largely Upper Paleolithic hunter-gatherers, which means we were designed to learn while moving, to follow opportunity, to discern, to learn as we go. Right? And we have a very plastic neocortex. Neocortex means new bark. It's really cool how biology has named cool things. Yours is on the outside of your brain. It's all wrinkly. It's got convolutions. It was crammed into your cranium in fairly recent history, evolutionary history. I said evolution. I'm from Kansas. Tell no one. We are designed to learn. We were designed to learn right now. So when did you learn to drive in snow? It snowed, and then you drove, and that's how you learned. So really, this system knows how to take care of itself, but then we kind of glued things down. We kind of sterilized it. We kind of systematized it. We kind of wanted to be good stewards of the public resources, so we laminated everything. We're killing kids by a process of lamination. And we got a job and did the same year for 30 years in a row. And that's not what this organism was designed to do. We were designed to be amazing. And I think that time has come again. I think change is coming so fast we can't keep up anymore. We certainly can't hold kids back. So I'm driving down the road and I'm thinking, well, the first people that got in the car were probably freaked out. They got in that Model T, right? And they were like, oh God, okay. Or they cranked it, right? And they're like, oh my God, this is scary. Oh my God, it's got a horn. And they're thinking, okay, I got to drive this. I got to watch where I'm going. I got to watch the other people, make sure I don't kill anyone. They were probably freaking out. Now look at your car now. Look at your dashboard. It's a futuristic wonder world. There's stuff everywhere, and it's all trying to get your attention. Look at me, no, look at me, no, look at me. I'm the GPS. And it's also good, right? And you're thinking, no, the primary job is still the road, isn't it? Isn't it not to kill anyone? Isn't that what it's supposed to think about? So I'm driving down the road in Pennsylvania trying to get to the airport, and my brain is thinking, because this is what happens. Your brain sort of shunts boring to the side. Your brain protects itself from boring. This is something that happens. If you want to test this, have you ever driven all the way home, got there and realized you don't remember none of the drive? What did your brain do? It said, this is boring. I'll shunt it down here. I'll wake you up if there's a deer. Okay? Gotcha. And then your brain does other things. Your brain can do other things, and that's cool. I'm thinking about my wife. I've been on the road 7 days. I'm missing my wife. Can't wait to get home. Thinking about my speed. Got to think about my speed. Don't want to get a ticket. I'll miss my flight. So I'm thinking about my speed, thinking about the road, thinking about my wife. At the same time, thinking about my gear. Did my gear come? No, it didn't. Okay, so I'm thinking about my gear, thinking about my speed, thinking about my assistant who sent me 5 emails. They're all smoking. You ever get a smoking email and you got to answer it quick or it's going to burn, like the transitions in your PowerPoint, or it's tasty. Okay, so here we go. So now I'm thinking about my GPS. So there's my GPS on one leg over there, and I got that going, so I don't want to get lost. And then suddenly I think, oh my gosh, I better look there and there in case a kid would jump out. So I'm looking there, thinking about my wife, thinking about my gear, thinking about my assistant, thinking about my GPS, thinking about my speed. And then I get a text. See, I got 2 phones. So there's the bat phone. I'm getting texts from there too, but do I answer it? I don't think I want to answer it right now. I got to keep my eye on the situation. Now I'm in Nebraska tomorrow doing staff development in a very old computer lab. I don't even know what version of Windows they're on, but I got to figure out how to change their lives with bad equipment. So I'm freaking, you ever do that? It's really hard, right? So I'm thinking about that at the same time, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, my son asked me for a car. Man, I don't have any money for a car. He deserves a car. Poor kid. I'm finding him a used car. All that stuff's going on at the same time, and then I realize I have not had nearly enough coffee. Speaking of coffee, I need my coffee. So this is all going on at the same time, and then I remember my orthodontist. This is the day he told me he had to pull my tooth. Why is he so happy? Does he seem happy? Should I get a different orthodontist? It's funny what pops into your head, when you're having all these sort of random thoughts. Now I'm thinking about my gear tomorrow, the stage I'll be on. I wonder if they have the right setup. I'm kind of worrying about that a little bit. And then I remember my wife asked me if she could buy this dress. My wife doesn't ask me to buy things, but this time she asked me, should I buy this dress? And I said no. I never say no. I've been married 26 years. I don't say no. But But I said no, and I don't understand why. Why did I hurt the woman's feelings? And I thought about it for a long time, and I thought, why did I say no? Something bothered me about that dress. Somewhere from deep within my memory. This is what happened. It's like you run a problem in RAM, in the back of your head, and it goes ding 5 days later, and you suddenly have an answer to your problem, right? And then this weird thing happened next. Inattentive driving my butt. Yeah. So how many of you can totally relate to what I just showed you up there on the screen just now? I call it infowhelm, right? There's so much stuff coming at us at the same time, and our kids are growing up in this world of amazing opportunity and terrifying distraction. And how are we going to parse all of that stuff? And if we can't do it, how can they? Raise your hand if you routinely, when you're browsing, you tab browse. You have multiple tabs open. Raise your hand if it's not weird for you to have 5 tabs open at the same time. 6 tabs, 7 tabs, your cooling fan kicks on. Okay, what are you doing? What are you doing? You are attending to. That's what research calls it. Attending to all of those things. Instagram, Facebook, right? All those different websites that you have open, plus your phone. And you're checking, you're attending to, which you're taking 100% of attention and parsing it by how many tabs? How many tabs? So what's the quality of your attention when you're doing all that at the same time? To be honest. Now raise your hand if you're a multitasker. Raise your hand if you're a multitasker. No, none of you are, so take your hand down. No, there's research on this. Humans are not multitaskers. We are fast switchers. We switch attention from one thing to another remarkably fast, but we are fast switchers. And we're going to prove that right now, exactly right now, because you don't believe me, and your kids don't believe me. They're going to die in a car crash, so we're going to help you understand. Take your left hand, draw a circle in the air. Draw a circle in the air. This is a thought experiment. This is driving a car. Driving a car. For the purposes of our experiment, this needs to be a perfect circle. If it becomes an oval, you've crossed the center line. Oh, look at you, good driver. Stop. Right hand, draw a triangle. Draw a triangle. This is talking on the texting and talking on the cell phone. Texting and talking on the cell. Stop. Drive. Now text while driving, you multitaskers. How's that working for you? How would you like to meet that head-on in traffic? So how do we teach kids to juggle all of this? If you've all got laptops, people freak out. I run into people and they get mad and they take it out on me. I become the lightning rod for their fear of change. I was in Louisiana, 700 teachers, and this teacher screams at me from the back of the room. In the middle of my keynote, I hate Chromebooks. I said, what am I, Google or something? I don't own the company, man. I said, do you yell at movies too? Why do you hate Chromebooks? She said, I don't know what the kids in the back of my room are doing. I said, get up. Walk around. Retire if you like your chair that much. Kids pass paper notes. We didn't ban paper. Just get back on the train, man. Just get back on the train and learn again. I think that's the place that you want to be. I walked in a teacher's room about 3 weeks ago. She had a Promethean board, the Ferrari of smart boards, and she had posters taped to it. You ever been in a situation where you don't even know what to say? You're like, that's so bad, I don't even want to say anything there. She missed a workshop or something. Now, my intro says I'm from Kansas, but I recently moved to Colorado Springs, and I'll tell you more about that soon. But for 10 years, I was on the school board in Edmond, Kansas. We're the Teutons. The Teutons. Sounds like croutons. Teutons, the fighting Teutons. It's a Teutonic warrior. Got a Spartan, broom on its head and all of that. I served on the school board, and we brought along a one-to-one program. We're Apple Distinguished Program, 2 years running. I'm proud of where we are, but that's me. On the school board, getting that midnight call from a good Christian person cussing me out, because I'm on the school board. It's service to be on the school board. But let me take you back in time to 1986 when I met this woman here. This is the best thing that ever happened in my life. I was first honeycut to graduate high school in memory. Honeycuts doesn't graduate from high school. I have some issues for learning. I have some mild dyslexia. I call it Lexdixia. It seems to make sense that way. And then I'm colorblind, but I taught art. No one knows this. I have ADHD. Can you tell? I'm medicated. This is as good as it gets. This is me. Well, it turns out this propensity I have, because of ADHD, of having multiple channels running in my head at any given time. 110 channels overlapping, and I don't have the remote control. That's my brain. But man, in the right situation, you want me in the lifeboat, right? Because I can come up with solutions. But if you tell me all my solutions are wrong, I'm dead in the water. And that happened to me in public school a lot. He's distracted. He can't focus. What's wrong with you? I mean, I frustrated teachers. I didn't mean to, so I always look for the crazy teachers. I can spot them in every audience. I see my girl right here. Kind can spot kind, right? I would say, oh my God, she's like a grown-up version of me, and she's keeping a job. Maybe there's hope for me. So I fell in love with the crazy teachers, the three-fingered shop teacher talking about bandsaw safety. That guy knows what he's talking about. He's a cautionary tale. I met this woman my first year of college. I went to college. Honeycuts don't go to college. You know what kind of crap I took from my family? Well, you think you're going to college, Professor Kevin? You think you're going to college? Honeycuts don't go to college. Who do you think you are? But I hung in there. I had to read everything 3 times. I stayed up all night just reading the same stuff that other kids could read 1 time to get it into my head. Because I don't see pictures when I read words. I hear words when I see pictures. But the system didn't let me do it that way. Art class did. I was good in art. Biology class, I had a brisk business. I did everyone's biology drawings. $5 a drawing, and I did them all. And I even had to change the style on all of them, or the teacher would spot me. I was good. I'm from the trailer park, but I got skills. Mr. Hoke did not like me. He did not like me because I was funny. I don't mean to be funny. I don't have anything else. All I have is funny. So if you let me be funny, at least I got something in your class, right? And Mr. Hoke told jokes, they weren't funny. So I would crack the class up and he'd get mad. I went, don't get mad. That's all I got. One day he got so mad he grabbed me by the neck and took me out into the hall, and he's yelling at me in the hall. He said, you're trying to get my goat, aren't you? And I said, Mr. Hoke, I don't know what's going on between you and this goat. And frankly, that's none of my business. He threw me on the floor. He said, you don't matter. You will pump my gas. And he walked off. Now I teach kids this. You can succeed because people believe in you, but you can also succeed because people don't. If Hitler hates you, you're doing all right. That's why I teach kids, his non-belief. See, I went to college and I finished. I kept my scholarships. My grades did not go below C. And I became a teacher, and I drove all the way back to that school, and he was still working. And I walked up to him in the hall, and I knocked on his door, and he came out and said, hi, Mr. Hoke. You remember me? I won't tell you his real name. It was Dick Hoke, 585-6795. Sure. I said, hello, colleague. I'm a teacher, and it wasn't that hard. I turned around and walked out. It felt so good. Because I had just spent 6 years in a 4-year college, and I finished, you know. I met this woman, and she was way above my pay grade. I took her to a fancy restaurant. There we were at Denny's. And I'm talking my line of bull because I'm from poverty. Poverty kids can talk. I'm telling you they can talk because they have to. How do you turn those things into words? Like I just wrote a book. It's on Amazon. You know how I wrote it? I talked it. I talked a book. Tell me I can't. Well, that's just cheating is what that is. That's some cheating going on there. Because we're so fair, it's unfair how fair we are. Is a wheelchair ramp cheating? I can talk. Honor that, please. So I wrote a book with my voice just to show people that you can. Because people say, you're full of crap. I did, okay? I don't just talk about stuff. I do the stuff I talk about. Now, that book is about my at-risk and my poverty childhood, and I share it with kids. And then I come in there in a Google Hangout, and I talk to the kids, and I challenge them to write their own chapters. It's about turning your chaos into opportunity. Turning your pain into rocket fuel. Don't use the crap that happened to you as an excuse for failure. That's so boring. Don't do that, right? So I'm talking my line of bull, and she says across the table, Kevin, you do realize I know you're full of crap, right? I said, dang, this girl's smart. I want to marry this girl because my dad said, Kevin, marry a smart girl. Take the family tree above ground. So I asked her to marry me. We were engaged for 6 years. She test drove this for 6 years. Because she's not stupid. She knew that I watched my dad beat my mom, and she knew the statistics on boys who watched their dad beat their mom. They beat their wives usually. She took me in hand. She said, you ever hit me, I will kill you in your sleep. And she smiled. She taught me everything. A school educated me. My wife taught me with her love and her pain and her patience. If I live to be 1,000, I won't deserve this woman. And I know that. And I'm happy that I know that. And I get a little teary because I've been on the road a little while, and I miss this woman. We moved out to Inman, Kansas, where I promptly became junior high football coach. I never coached anything, but I'm the art teacher, and the last art teacher coached high school cheerleading. And they said, you can do junior high football or high school cheerleading. I said, I didn't flip a coin. I said, I'm already the art teacher. I will take the junior high football. Now, I'm guessing my way through 8-man football. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm calling in plays I don't even understand. This right here, watch. That's a 4-2 strong side go, right? And the boys on the field going, no. I'm like, can they wave me off like that? I'm the coach, right? So I called in another play, 4-2 weak side go. He said, no. I only got one left, 4-2 double go. He said, yeah. They ran the play, touchdown, boom. We were 7-1. I played everybody. I had no freaking clue. The kids called the plays now. It's like, the catcher was just calling this place. It's all right. I love junior high because they don't even know what they don't know. Kid came into practice first day, had his cup on back here. He's walking weird. He's like, Mr. Hank, this doesn't feel right. I said, what are you trying to protect there, son? You get over there with the tight ends, we'll talk after practice. Dang. And I raised this kid in a small town. This is Benjamin, my boy. He's weird. I said, what do you want to be for Halloween? He said, exit sign. Who asked to be an exit sign? I had to make that costume. Now I want you to think about this boy. Living in a small town in the Midwest, no diversity, all white people. And we took him everywhere. We showed him everything. We showed him everyone. He had a different kind of mind. And then he ran up against people who didn't. And he started getting bullied. And he held his ground. He got bullied harder, and he held his ground. They almost destroyed him. It was so close. With Mom and I both there, it was everything we could do to keep him intact because the system didn't have enough slots. They didn't have a slot for my little weird boy. They didn't have a slot for Steve Jobs or Bill Gates or Einstein or Edison. How do we make more slots? When I see a makerspace, there's some slots in there. I see this sort of, flexible learning environments. There's some slots in there. I see you trailblazing teachers making new slots. Places for me to be. Places for my girl over here to become a STEM rock star. She's a coding wild woman. Thank you. Thank you. Let's keep going, right? Let's make more slots. So he grows up and he becomes, guess what? He goes to KU and becomes a teacher. He's joining the family business. Poverty. We spent $100,000 so he could make 30. Yay, 30. Yay! Here's what we say at my house. Caskets don't have luggage racks. Spend it while you're here. Here's the other thing I say. We still have wealth. It's just tied up in kids. Right? That's us. That's who we are. That's our life, right? We need to tell our story better, though, because politicians are talking about teachers and they're getting it wrong. We got to tell our story better. Raise your hand if you think we have better stories than the politicians. Keep it up if I can easily find them online so I can show the politicians. Thank God some of you kept your hand up, but I go a lot of places where every hand comes down and I go, oh my gosh, what are we, secret geniuses? We cannot afford that anymore, y'all. And I'm not saying fight with those politicians. I'm saying outstory them. We got better stories. If I tell a story about student success, well, you're going to be against my story? You are Hitler if you try. It's the only Teflon we got. So where are your stories? And teach kids to advocate for themselves, to stand up and talk. See, I go to schools all over the world. I've seen everything. Guys, you do not believe the things I've seen, good and bad. And I can tell you the top 5 schools I've ever seen in my 15 years on the road. And I can tell you why I think they're the top schools. Do you want to know? I got some head nods. Thank you. I'm glad. Because some people don't even want to know that. I'm really bored of it already. I don't know. In every one of those situations, the kids can flat out talk. They can represent their learning. They can defend their learning in front of everyone. I'm talking 3rd grade. I'm talking 4th grade. I'm talking junior high. And by high school, it rocks your world. You got to raise your game and talk to these kids. They got a vocabulary flat out. All of them do, right? That's what I think we got to do. Have kids talk, have kids represent, have kids be able to defend their learning. So my kid went off to college, and it's just me and my wife, man. And she got all weird. Man, I'm all happy. Men are different than women. Men are like having an end zone dance. Hey, he got out of here, man. Because he used to get up early, go to the dryer, and find the magical socks and underwear that I washed the night before. And he'd think God put them in there for him. So he would wear my stuff to school, and I would get up, and there's nothing in the dryer, and I got no socks and underwear. So I'm glad he's gone. I love him. But that was my job. He's gone. My wife got empty nest syndrome. Starts collecting animals. 4 dogs, 2 rabbits, 2 cats, a turtle, and some red wiggler worms. She's building a zoo at my house. I said, sweetie, I'm enough. Apparently, I'm not even close to enough. I thought, I know, I'll get her. I'll date her again. That's what I'll do. I'll date her again like we did in the early days. I started taking her to concerts, REO Speedwagon, Styx, Foreigner. These bands are on the road again. And I'm in the front row now because we got disposable income. So you got your drink on, you're in the front row, you're roll with the changes. REO Speedwagon, Kevin Cronin's doing his Kevin Cronin nasal thing, roll with the changes. You notice how you got your drink on, you can bend your knees a long way? Doesn't even hurt a little bit, right? You're like, come way down here. Like, next day your knees wake you up. Good morning. You remember us? Yeah, you tore us up bad last night. You're going to roll with the wheelchair. I bought one of these. Google this. It's a thing called a chair and a half. Chair and a half. That's so you and her can both fit in there, get your drink on, get your Netflix on. Things are good. Now, I don't know your spouse. You might need a chair and 3/4. I'm not sure. We're in a chair and a half. Things are going good. And one night she comes in with this. Yeah, let that percolate. Go ahead. Yeah. 22 years after the first one. Turns out that's optimal spacing. I thought she found the stick from the first time. Then I remembered it had a plus and a minus. And I said, is this a joke? She said, this is not a joke. We are back in the game. I said, I was not aware I had eligibility. That's the wrong answer, by the way. Some of you look nervous right now, right? Because I was told stuff didn't work anymore. No, stuff was working fine. I don't know what happened. So now I got this in my house. That's Gibson Lee Honeycutt. Now listen, my first kid came along, I was a young man. I was strong. He could hang from my arm. He thought Dad was Superman. Every kid should have that moment where they think their dad is strong, but I'm not the dad I was back then, and I'm trying to get it back. You can get back your belief. You can get back your faith. Getting back your strength is a little bit harder, right? It's hard. When you got a little one, you're on the ground a lot. Now let me ask some of you people my age, what's the smallest denomination of currency you will bend down and pick up? For me, it's $5. It's $5. $1? No, $1. I'll kick it to you, young Jedi. Go ahead. Padawan learner, pick it up. That's it. Because it's $5 worth of pain just to get down that far, right? I have seen Jesus 3 times on my stairway. Just climbing the stair holding this kid. I've seen Jesus. He's like, come on over. You're so close. Just step through and you're here. Whoo, I can't die. So you kind of get down on the floor. It's a process at my age. You make your way down in phases, and you finally get that hand down, and you get that knee down. Once you get in here, you're committed. You're committed. Here, you're committed. Then he pops up like a Pop-Tart and just takes off. You're like, wait! But I'm not stupid, man. I got a pocket full of candy. I'm like, come on back here. And he'll be back. It'll be all right. I got to stay strong, and I got to keep learning. My wife is so smart. She said, you got to quit using satellite radio. I said, why? She said, because it's always the 80s in your car. I said, I like the 80s. She said, I know, but if you only listen to the 80s, you will be depriving Gibson of the music of his time. Dang, I hate how right she always is. She always is right. Men, we can't take it, man. We walk away. We're like, that's the stupidest thing I ever did here. Man, I'm walking over here. You walk over here, and you know 2 things. 1, I got to sleep with that woman. And 2, she's right. Again. So quickly go apologize. And I taught my son this, right? Here's how you apologize. Man, I'm so sorry. I'm stupid. And now withstand whatever she does next. Just withstand it. Probably 30 minutes. If you let that go, you're fine. You older man know what I'm talking about. If you say 1 word, you just bought another 30 minutes. Understand? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So she's right. Got to raise this kid. See, when my kid went to college, I went out and bought a Camaro because I'm from the trailer park. I spent the inheritance. Got my wife a Challenger with a Hemi. I take care of my girl. I had this, but then we had that, and now I drive this. That's it, man. That's life. So how am I going to raise this little dude? See, I can see the future, man. People are going to say, why is that kid so unemployable? Well, his dad's that old man. Remember that old man had the 80s going on in his car all the time? Yeah, he didn't keep learning. He just taught the kid the past and didn't get him ready for the future. I can't do that. I need him to have success and happiness. I could raise him like a 1940s paper boy, an anachronism. I could raise him like this. I see that a lot. Do you see that? People using technology as a pacifier? Oh, I will not do that. I will not do that. I curate his experience. I have to. He's using YouTube Junior. I like some of these services, but I watch. Because what happens if he's watching Blippi 1 minute and the next minute it's a beheading? There's no cruise control. I love this stuff. Don't get me wrong, but I got to be there. See, I think today's kids are raising themselves on digital playgrounds and nobody's on recess duty. That's us. That's got to be us. I'm sorry. I'm tired too. If you're going to teach kids, you got to live where they are. And that's what you're doing. That's what you crazy trailblazers are doing. I need him to have success and happiness and to be able to chase his dreams. To that end, I want you to pretend this is really cool because it took me 30 hours to make this. There's no software for this. I wish there was just a timeline you could throw all your pictures into and go, wouldn't that be cool? But the old pictures are made of paper. No data, right? So here I am in 1966, and I'm just getting into the classroom over here, and the technology is coming along. Remember the calculator wars we had? Yeah. And people fought over this stuff, right? Calculators. Kids are getting lazy. Papyrus. Wow, no more cuneiform? What the heck? Kids are getting lazy with their crow quills. Dip it in the ink and just draw. What's wrong with people? You notice people sometimes love their behindness? I love my flip phone. Have you noticed people with flip phones? They're mad. Why are they mad? Why are they always mad? I love my flip phone. I don't need a smartphone. Why are you mad? Because I like my flip phone. That's all I want is a phone. Like, okay, all right. You got a telegraph at your house too? Proud of that too? Man, but if you work with kids, you got to understand their world. So you got to keep learning. So, I got here to the middle. My kid went to college, and here's me renewing my vows. That's what I did wrong. I'm just saying, we tricked our bodies into thinking we were starting over or something. And boom, he's born. Now I got to live 18 more years. I had a plan, man. It was retire, 3 years from retirement. I don't know, I might live till 60. I don't know. Now I got to live 18 years. And I told my wife, I want to be 70 at his high school graduation. I'm like, congratulations, Sonny. My wife said, I understand that you're 70. Why are you a minor 49er in this scenario? She's so smart. I said, I only have one old man voice. Look, my mule. So I got to make it to there. I got to keep learning. So will he be global? And I want you to ask this question of yourself about our kids. We have had technology for a long time. See, I think sometimes we fall prey to something I call, I'm going to say it out loud, a term, ready? Don't tweet this. Tech porn. 60 tools in 60 minutes. Woohoo. So good. Like we fall in love with all those things and we think we know them. So we learn them once and then we put them over here, right? We put them over here. We categorize them, but we don't use them. You ever hear about a tool and think, yeah, I heard about that 3 years ago, but I never used it because it was coming by too quick. So to me, it's all about why. Why would I do this? Why would I do this? Why would I do this? What does that tool do, and why would my kids love it? Right? Get the why right, and everything else kind of you figure it out. I want my kid to be able to work anywhere in the world without having to go everywhere in the world. Will he be global, or will he be snow global? This is not a joke. I go to schools all over the world, and the ones that are farthest behind were farthest ahead 10 years ago. And they fell in love with themselves, and they made a snow globe. Look at our reflection in the glass. Don't we look good? Look at we made AYP. Look at our test scores. Passed the bond issue. All our kids are above average. Shake it, and there's snow. It's pretty. 2012. Put it on the trophy case, and it just sits there getting older and older. Be careful. Don't fall in love with where you are. Fall in love with the journey, right? We're on the move now. Upper Paleolithic hunter-gatherers on the move, right? So how do we break the glass? Kids are inside with glass cutters trying to get out. We write them detentions, right? Teachers are punching holes through there doing mystery Skype. They get in trouble because there's no policy yet, How do we break the glass? And it's a conversation that's got to keep going on because the world's going to keep changing. I'm looking at the clock because my ADHD, I have to see how much time I have. Man, that went fast. 9:30, I'm done. That's like 12 minutes from now. Do you wish I had more time, or do you think that's enough time? It's okay. It's all right. It's all good. Let me ask you this question. How many of you, if you lost your cell phone, you would lose important data? Raise your hand. And it's okay, no judgment here. You ever lose something, they go, you weren't backed up. Yeah. Don't judge me, man. Yeah, because we've done this weird thing. Your neocortex has reached out, it has grabbed these devices, and it has extended its reach out there. It's using these things as what I will call digital limbs, right? So think about this. Most kids, by policy in the United States, when they get to school, they amputate their digital limbs at the front door. Box of cell phones, you know what I mean? I see that everywhere. So when I go somewhere and I see bring your own device policies, and I know it's a mess. I know it's a mess. So is childbirth. There's amniotic fluid all over the place. It's a mess. But they're doing brave things by letting kids learn to use that stuff responsibly. And yes, they're going to mess up. They always have. My wife called me one day, one of her third grade boys Googled boobs. Now, he spelled it wrong because the filter would have caught it, but he spelled it B-U-B-S, and he got a picture of boobs. And being a third grade boy, he printed it. And being a third grade boy, he forgot it was on the printer. So my wife walks by and sees this pair of bubs looking at her. She calls me on the phone crying. She's all upset. She feels like a failure. I said, honey, aren't you glad you were there? That it didn't happen by himself when he was at home? She said, I understand that. What's wrong with boys? I said, that's a 3-beer conversation right there. So I think it's simple things, right? Simple things. All the kids have a device. So I role model. I have a YouTube channel, and you might not like my YouTube channel. Where's yours? Then shut your pie hole. You don't get to judge me if you don't have skin in the game. I've had a YouTube channel for a decade, and my videos aren't great. They're not perfect. Perfect is the enemy of done. Write that on something. Just start. So I teach constantly, right? I'm a guitar teacher on there. I'm not good. I'm okay, But I teach that. If I see something cool like this, I know kids. Kids like anything that can kill you or poops. So I see this at my wife's school. I'm setting up for the big camp out. And I see this, and I get my phone out. This is like 30 seconds of video. Now, this is not 30 seconds of video. This is a research and writing prompt on steroids. What? Yeah, so here's how that works. I give this to all of the kids in 3rd grade and say, kids, I need you to do me a favor. There's no sound on this thing. I need narration and a little bit of music, but narration, at least 10 facts, and a bibliography. Easy bib or bib me will do just fine. And then they get in there. Here's the report, ready? And they're all nervous, right? They're like, the black-widow spider. The black-widow spider is an arachnid. Arachnid has eight legs. And by the way, I was doing this with a girl one time, and she had the octopus. She said, the octopus has 8 testicles. You're going, yay, honey, yeah. The black-widow spider is an arachnid. It has a cephalothorax. That means head plus thorax. Cephalo means head. It also has an abdomen. This is the female. Look how shiny she is. That's her exoskeleton. This is made of something called chitin. And she sometimes will ingest the male after copulation. I won't talk about copulation. The underside of the black widow, she often has an hourglass shape that is red, but it's not always shaped like an hourglass, but it's usually some kind of red color on the bottom, and that tells you that her venom is 20 times more potent than that of a prairie rattlesnake. I like black widows, but I don't want to touch one. Thanks for listening. And you can tell she's nervous. C-SPAN is not here, but she's nervous like it matters. You ever have kids ask you, why do I need to know this? At-risk kids want to know, what's this got to do with anything? Why are you wasting my time? So this feels like an important thing. So I do this with kids all the time. This half of the class, get out your Chromebooks, get out your laptops, get out your iPads. You're going to study everything you can tell me about the brown recluse spider. This half is the black widow. All right? And the Google Doc is up there. See those 4 boxes? That's your parents. I invited them to the Google Doc. You're welcome. See, kids act different if they think someone else is on the playground. Now, parents never come, so I just log in 4 times. That's what I do. So here's my thing. I believe you got to hook them and cook them. Hook them and cook them. Wherever they're sitting, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get a hook in you. I'm going to get you up here. I'm going to grab you by your interest. I'm going to take you to where you need to be. I'm going to let you talk a book. I'm going to find the software. I'm going to find the app. And we're going to do something that matters, right? And this is what I'm trying to do. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm doing the best I can. I'm a MacGyver. I'm a dumpster diver, looking for mostly free stuff. Most of the schools I work with don't have any money. So we use what we can. So I tell stories like this. I'm going to tell you this story. Whenever the class has the pee in the pool look, you ever have your students and you can tell they look like a kid who was swimming and they're peeing in the pool, that's when you know they're done. They're done, they're done. So shift gears, shift gears. Hey, lids up when I tell you, lids up when I tell you. I'm going to tell you a story, and I want you to Google alongside me. I want you to go deeper than I've asked you to go. Let's learn together, right? So Robert Ballard, the guy who found the Titanic, amazing underwater archaeologist and oceanographer, he also had this theory that in the Black Sea, start Googling Black Sea, in the Black Sea, below 600 feet, the water is anoxic. Google anoxic, means no oxygen. I'll just tell you guys, we'll cheat. Below 600 feet, which means no mollusks that eat wooden-hulled vessels. So hypothetically, the 1,000 years of seagoing fare, 1 million shipwrecks of antiquity are still sitting there in perfect states of preservation. Tell me I got you just a little bit hooked, just a little bit interested? See, I picked this story on purpose. It has certain attributes. I've got 100 more in my back pocket. You're welcome. I'll share mine if you share yours. So, the wall came down. The Soviet Union no longer kept people out of the Black Sea. Robert Ballard rushes in there with his lucky ship, the Nor, the one he found the Titanic with. They start looking for the trade routes. Now, how are you going to find the trade routes? What was the Tupperware of that day? He asked the class. Someone raised their hand because they were on Google. The amphora. Nicely done. Yes, a clay vessel with a beeswax seal. What kind of cargo? Wine, garum, a fish paste that they liked, prefabricated temples. These are sophisticated people, right? So they start looking for these amphora. Now, why is it going to be amphora? They had wine most of the time. You're on a long sea voyage. What are you likely to do on that boring voyage? You're going to drink some wine, aren't you? And you broke that beeswax seal. You cannot leave it empty. You cannot leave it partial. You will get flogged. You throw it, flunk. 1,000 years of flunk, and guess what? There's a trail of amphora right along the trade routes. Just follow them with sonar to the first wooden mast sticking out of the Black Sea. Kids, the bottom of the Black Sea is the consistency of Jell-O. Everything that goes in just closes the door. So they start using their elevators, and they go down there with their remote robots, and they start excavating, and they get down to the cargo hold. By the way, the wood is perfectly intact. The carpenter's marks are still there, perfectly intact. They get to the cargo hold. The cargo is intact. The wine is intact. The beeswax seals haven't been broken. We may drink wine from the time of Christ. Tell me I got you. Tell me I got you right now, because I can feel that I got you. Now, I'm going after you. That's what I'm doing here, right? He thinks they're going to find bodies, not mummies, bodies that look like hypothermic people. So let's imagine, kids, that we brought one of those bodies up. We have it on the ship, and 2 ship's mates, for grins and giggles, grab a cardio resuscitation unit, and he wakes up. I want 1 page called Millennium Man. Go. All of that for a writing prompt, right? Here's what I think. In education, we have some things wrong. You watched Elon Musk launch that rocket. How many of you were like transported back to your childhood again? Me too. It's like, woohoo, reset. It's exciting, right? But what do I know about a rocket? A rocket is how much thrust versus how much payload. How much thrust versus how much payload. When we teach kids, it has to be this much motivation and this much content. But we tend to pack the whole rocket with content and add almost no fuel. And we wonder why it won't launch. You don't get to put everything in the slideshow. Just make some really good points and put handles on them and build on it, right? The best lessons do that. They're not overly sophisticated. They got some cargo. And when you think like that, build like that, right? I'm going to look at the clock again. See where I'm at with time. Because I wanted to share an idea with you. I got a million things I could do, but since all my stuff is gone, I want to do. Hall, you got your harmonica? Can you sit up here with me and just do a little music? I want to do a little song for you. I want to tell you a story while Hall's coming up here. I like how he just walks up and he can get out his harmonica and start playing. When I was in 8th grade, I got my first guitar. It wasn't this guitar. It was a yard sale guitar that my dad found for $1 with no strings attached. It had no strings. And so I played air guitar for 3 months, and I finally got strings. This is before YouTube. Before YouTube, you couldn't just take lessons online for free. So I just made up songs, right? So I'm going to do a little blues riff in G. Do you mind if it's G? Yeah, we talked already. Give it up for my man, my side man over here. Don't go anywhere. I taught myself to play. I can't read music, and I didn't know chords existed. I thought I invented all chords. D is my chord, C is my chord, G is my chord. It took years for me to find out that it was actually chords, and I was mad. So I just teach myself stuff. I would hear a chord, and I'd like it, and I'd just figure it out, and I'd have to find the next chord. It took forever to do it that way, just forever. I entered a talent show in 8th grade. This is my song. This is the song I could play. This is E. I'll call it E. Oh, this is how the song went. That's the whole song. I saw a poster that said, Junior High Talent Show, May 5th. I signed up. I'm so stupid. I thought I was going to win. So I get on stage and kids are cool at first. They're like, nice start. They don't know this is all I can do. I just kept playing, man. I just kept playing, and they finally started throwing things at me. The counselor came over and put her hand on my shoulder and said, Kevin, you're done. I said, I'm almost to the bridge. She said, no, musically, you crossed the bridge. You are done. So I threw it in the closet at home, and I cried, and I told the guitar I hated it, but it kept talking to me. It talked like the Nasonex beat. You must learn to play me. Shut up, guitar, I hate you. You must learn to play me. I will bother you forever. So every night I'd pick it up, and I'd spend 30 minutes with it, just inventing chords. I won my wife with my guitar. If that's all that happens, that's enough. So how do we hook them and cook them? To play this, now by the way, when you learned to play that, was it hard?
No.
Because I can't do it, and I've tried like 3 times. Why did you persist?
You can do this. I swear, you can do this.
That's the attitude the good teacher always has. But what made you keep going until you could play it?
Because I could carry it with me.
That's
If
it?
I needed to do something, it was nearby. I liked doing it. I liked hearing it. It was fun.
Wow, cool. That's a good answer. That's a good answer. Well, now I got an iPhone. I could play guitar on my iPhone. I could play piano on my iPhone. I could do GarageBand on my iPad. I can do it on the bus. I can write a song on the bus on the way to school. That motivation is still there. It's digital now and much more flexible. That's awesome, right? I like this because if I could play a song, I could make a whole bunch of people sing. I didn't want to sing, but I was the jukebox, and it made people happy. And I play Happy Birthday for everybody because it's only 3 chords. But to play guitar, you got to endure blisters, and blisters are hard. They pop, there's pus, it's a mess. So my job as a guitar teacher is to make you want to rock so bad you will endure blisters. My job as a writing teacher is to make you want to be an author so bad you will endure the blank page. You will talk a book. You will fix your mistakes, right? That's always been the job. Man, so how much time? Is it 30? Are we at 30 after now?
Let's see. 30.
Dang it. Can we just play just a little bit more? Okay, I'm just going to go a little faster here because I know you can shred that harmonica, so I never get to do this. You, my friend. I hope we can get together and play some more. And who else plays a musical instrument? I want to have a digital jam, while we're here so we can kind of get together and get out our instruments and make music because I think that's what it's all about. So I'm going to do my closing slide now, my closer, because I kind of went a little bit long. I'm going to go all the way to the end. So I skipped a few slides because I kind of got into the story a little bit. So let me just jump past some of those. Oh, that was so good. Dang. You would love that one. That was, oh, man. Okay, there's my closer. When I was a little kid, I was running through the house in my diaper. I had a pair of those things called tweezers. I was gifted because I saw those things on the wall. 2 and 2. What's up, Mensa? That's me. I walked up and plugged it in. My mom saw the whole thing, but she couldn't get there fast enough. She ran in and kicked me with love. She's like, no! It's good. My fingers are black, the wall is black, my diaper's full. I didn't think about that for a long time until I got a little older and a little wiser and a little boy. He's going to stick tweezers in the wall. And my job is to grow up beside him. And our job is to grow up beside them and to learn beside them on the digital playground. That's why you're here on a Saturday. I honor you because you're spending heartbeats getting our kids ready for their future. I love you for that. Thanks for listening.
"39 years later, I'm hooked." Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate your message. Before we leave, I'd like to have Annalise Burns, Anthony Charla, and Andrea Cajas come on up. And everybody else can go to your sessions and visit the vendor hall, go to the other areas. And also you will see that we have the flu hit, and some of our sessions got canceled. So if you look up there, those sessions are canceled today. So if you planned on those, make some adjustments. Thank you. See you at closing.